So Sony is claiming that Japan is of the utmost importance to them. Now, why is it that they would claim this unless, I don't know, maybe a Bloomberg report just the other day and the statement that was made by a insider? That's very interesting now, isn't it? Looks like Sony's doing some backpedaling. Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So, Sony seems to be backpedaling, trying to say that Japan is very important to them. When you look at the things that they've done when it comes to censorship of anime games and things of that sort, it really begs to differ when they've been changing their policies and all the things that they've made. So we'll be taking a look at this article, and then we'll be taking a look at Sony's response. Microsoft sets sights on Sony's home turf in game console clash. Now, this article is very important because Sony has a response to it. Let's take a look at that. But first, before we do that, recently, PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X have come out, and there's a big clash between the two of them, along with their bugs and issues. This is the reason why I typically wait whenever a new console comes out, because there's usually some kind of issue. Oh man, I remember when I had an Xbox 360, and I remember the 3 times I had 2 different 360s, one of them twice, get the red ring of death. It was horrible. Oh god, I remember that. Until I bought an Elite. Ugh, it was like the worst problem ever. And that's always something with new consoles. They usually kind of have some kind of problem. And apparently there's been a lot of issues with like PlayStation bricking and Xbox having smoke come from their consoles. There's been a lot going on. But when you look at it, because Microsoft, speaking of Series X, they've been trying to go after Japan's market now. So they've been trying to put more importance into it, which is very interesting. In the battle of the next generation gaming mechanics, 2 key players are moving in different directions. Microsoft Corp is making a serious attempt to attract fans in Japan with its new consoles and network services, which I think is a good move on their part considering how badly the Xbox One sold over there. It didn't even make up 1% of their sales. It was really bad over there in Japan, so I think this is a good move on their part. Microsoft Corp is making a serious attempt to attract fans in Japan with its new consoles and network services. Meanwhile, Tokyo-based Sony Corp moved its PlayStation business headquarters to California in 2016 and has built the US into its largest single market. Which, we're going to get into that because this article really dives into this. But Microsoft's targeting of the world's 3rd largest video game market, including with services that can be accessed across a variety of devices, could potentially yield strong results, as the Xbox has virtually zero presence in the country. There's plenty of room for it to increase its share. I've heard some interesting talks, speaking of that Xbox is buying a studio over there in Japan, and as we've seen recently, they've been on a buying spree, like with Bethesda, for example. So that would be good for them, and it'd be very interesting to see how that turns out. The Xbox has a chance to make Japan its 2nd largest market after the US if it takes the right steps for years to come, said Hideki Yasuda, an analyst at Ace Research Institute in Tokyo. Sony's attention is drifting away, and fans have started to notice that. Oh yeah, and you can really see it, especially with their censorship and their terrible new policies with Sony going woke. Sony has placed more importance on the US market after the PlayStation 4's disappointing performance in Japan, according to employees who asked not to be identified discussing internal matters. The thing about Japan is Japan has been more in the mobile gaming market lately. They've taken more to mobile games. And that and the Switch, because, Switch is also, in a sense, mobile, because you can undock it and take it with you. So they've actually been more into that kind of market rather than they have the consoles. They don't really seem to like big clunky consoles. So it's interesting to see how things have really shifted over there. A senior figure inside PlayStation headquarters in San Mateo, California, said that the U.S. side was frustrated by the failure of the Japan marketing team to sell as many PlayStation 4 units as expected. The person asked not to be identified discussing internal matters. As a result, Japan has been sidelined in planning the PlayStation 5's promotion, according to several PlayStation staff in Japan. Employees in Tokyo said they've been left awaiting instructions in California. I mean, that sounds like terrible management. You would expect that they would try to actually, advertise that better for them. I mean, it sounds like they don't care. And that's really telling right there. Japan-based developer support teams have been reduced by as much as a third from their peak, and the rolling contracts of a number of game creators at PlayStation's Japan studio, one of the unit's oldest in-house software ateliers, haven't been renewed, former employees said. The U.S. office believes the PlayStation business doesn't need games that only do well in Japan, employees in the California headquarters said. Now see, that sounds exactly like they don't care about Japan. It sounds to me, from that statement alone, that they're just caring more about the West now rather than they are Japan, despite the fact that Japan used to be very major and vital to them. And then it's like they just sideline their entire Japanese audience. I mean, that's a terrible decision. But get ready for this statement because this is big. It's analyst consensus that PlayStation no longer sees the Japan market as important. Morningstar research analyst Kazunori Ito said, if you want to know their take on the Japanese market, you need to ask about it because otherwise Sony wouldn't talk about it. And this is apparently coming from an insider that works within Sony. That is rough. I mean, seriously, what anybody would do is they would try to appeal to all their fans everywhere. It wouldn't just be one place or another. It'd be everywhere. That's what they would try to do. Especially how important Japan has been for them. You would think that they would definitely be trying to appeal to them. You would think that they would definitely try to market it very well to them. Ugh. Many PlayStation 4 owners in Japan would eventually move on to the PS5, but that would largely depend on how strong the PlayStation team in Tokyo will be pushing the needs of Japanese customers to the American headquarters, he said. Considering the current power balance between the US and Japan, I can't expect much, unfortunately. You want to talk about going all in there and just blasting Sony. Well, Sony had a response to the Bloomberg article, and we'll get into what they said. Sony stresses Japan is of utmost importance after report claims company's interest has drifted. Oh man, well this has got to be good. This has got to be a real long explanation, right? Let's take a look at this. Sony said that its home market remains of the utmost importance. No, I'm serious. That's the only thing they said. And this article right here that I was talking about with Bloomberg, they stated that PlayStation doesn't seem to see them as important. That is very bad. And thing is, when they just say that it's of the utmost importance and that's it, that's all, they have no other explanation but those very few words, yeah, that's not good. And to have to come out to defend themselves a day later, I mean, they're really backpedaling. And, I mean, it's bad. And everything, like I said, that they've been doing with their policies, with the censorship against anime girls, I mean, look, this is really telling that Sony doesn't seem to care because they've gone woke. They started pushing their agendas like the Soy of Us 2. We can't forget about that game. So, I mean, look, Sony themselves, they have fallen from what they once were. I mean, they really have. They're not what they were 10 years ago. And anybody that has been a fan of PlayStation can tell you that. And it's just been getting worse when it comes to Sony, and this article really proves it. But then, of course, the PlayStation 5, yes, it did sell out in Japan, which this is to be expected. Now, why is this to be expected? Because it's a brand new console. To be fair, new consoles, let's be real, they sell like hotcakes. I mean, that goes the same for the Xbox Series X. Both of these consoles are having a hard time even being found. But going more into why I don't believe Sony and what they said is because look at what they've done over the past few years. Whenever they censored Senran Kagura, I mean, look, they essentially ruined that series. I mean, no kidding. With their censorship, they basically ruined it. You think it was already bad there? Well, taking a look at this, where Senran Kagura 7 impossible to release after Sony's censorship row. I mean, look, like I said, they have basically just destroyed it. And what I did was I stopped supporting Sony after they ruined Senran Kagura because it is one of my all-time favorite series. And when they went and ruined it, I totally quit. I quit supporting Sony entirely. I'm not even kidding. Senran Kagura 7 was announced for the PlayStation 4 all the way back in 2017, but it sounds like Marvelous has been forced back to the drawing board following a recent wave of policy changes which have seen several risque titles censored on Sony's system. And you see, that's the thing. With their new regulations that they started implementing, it just got worse and worse from there. And then, I mean, look at Aokana, for example. This is a more recent one. Yet again, when it came to PS4, what happened with that was they censored it because of their policies. And, you know, this is the big thing. They told Aokana, the developers at P-Cube, not to say a word about it. I mean, here's the official tweet, and this is what they said. Please see below our statement on Aokana. We will not comment on the matter further. And of course, within this tweet, they were warning their fans that, hey, look, on the PlayStation, it has been censored, with 4 scenes that had been modified and then 3 that had been removed entirely. So, goes to show you that. And then, of course, where Sony was changing up their standards, you know, for the whole hashtag ME2 movement. And we were seeing where things were changing as well there even. I mean, you look at it. Sony themselves, they don't seem to care. I mean, after everything they've been changing, and I mean, look at it like this. I would also say they're backpedaling because they've had some publishers leave them, like Galgun Returns, that Japanese publisher, they've left. And then you look at Abyss of the Sacrifice, they've also left. And Abyss of the Sacrifice started on the PlayStation Vita, okay? So when you look at it, and you look at games that started on that very platform, which was PlayStation, and they're leaving to go elsewhere, that's very telling. I mean, when they're jumping ship, you know that's not a good sign. And when the inside source revealed Sony's censorship policy against anime, well, you know, at the time, it was questionable. But, of course, it's been proven to be true as time has gone on. And then you look at Sony's censorship of Japanese games is the beginning of a self-inflicted wound, which this is only going to hurt Sony in the long run. Because the more that they think that getting woke and trying to censor anime games, which nobody wants content come from a game. Let's be real. If you're going to get a game, you want the full game. You don't want content being cut. You don't want it being censored. And with them having a policy against anime girls because sexy woman, man, you know, right? Well, this is going to bite Sony in the ass in the long run because fans are going to walk away. They are not going to support this and they are going to leave and they will go elsewhere. Because Sony is trying to push their Puritan ways onto Japan by trying to take away the freedom of expression of the Japanese publishers over there by telling them what they can and can't create, which is wrong. And it also goes to show that they don't care about their Japanese audience. But anyways, let me know what you think about this entire situation down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and make sure you are still subscribed because YouTube is unsubscribing people from all their favorite channels. So make sure you are still subscribed to all your favorite channels. Hit the video with a like, and also be sure to share the video on social media. Spread the word and get it out there. It's greatly appreciated, and it really helps out the channel a lot. Also, be sure to follow me on Discord. We have a wonderful community there. Not only that, but it will keep you up to date on when the newest videos will be released, as well as any other upcoming events in the near future. So be sure to follow me on Discord. The link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.